Welcome to the table where the green meets the gold. Green meets the gold.
Welcome back to the $50 Dividend Investor Podcast, the show that proves you do not need to be wealthy to start building wealth. I'm your host, K.R. Talon, author of The $50 Dividend Investor, available on Amazon. Each episode, we take one powerful concept from the world of dividend investing and break it down in plain, everyday language. No jargon, no fluff, just a clear and honest roadmap for the everyday investor. Let's get into it.
The word portfolio sounds serious. It sounds like something that belongs in a leather briefcase carried by someone in a tailored suit who manages millions of dollars for wealthy clients. It sounds like something that requires expertise, complexity, and a minimum investment that puts it far out of reach for the average working person. I want to completely dismantle that image right now, because a portfolio is not complicated. A portfolio is simply a collection of investments working together toward a common goal. That is it. Think of it as a grocery list for stocks, a handful of carefully chosen items that together give you everything you need, without redundancy, without waste, and without spending more than your budget allows. And today, I am going to show you exactly how to build that list, starting with $50 a month from your very first purchase all the way through your first full year as a dividend investor. Welcome to Episode 5 of the $50 Dividend Investor Podcast. Before we talk about which stocks to buy, I want to spend a moment on the most important principle of building a beginner portfolio. And it is not diversification, it is not yield, and it is not timing. It is this. The first year is entirely about building the habit, not about finding the perfect stock, not about maximizing your return, not about outperforming the market. It is about proving to yourself that you can do this consistently, month after month, regardless of what the market is doing. Because the investor who puts in $50 every single month without fail, through good markets and bad, through exciting quarters and boring ones, will almost always outperform the investor who waits for the perfect moment, overthinks every decision, and ends up doing nothing. Consistency is the foundation. Everything else is built on top of it. Now, let's talk about sectors, because this is where beginners often get lost. When financial professionals talk about sectors, they simply mean categories of business: healthcare companies, energy companies, technology companies, consumer goods companies, and so on. For a dividend investor building a beginner portfolio, there are 4 sectors that deserve your attention first. The first is consumer staples, companies that make and sell the products people buy regardless of the economy: food, beverages, household goods, personal care products. These businesses generate steady, predictable cash flow year after year, which is exactly what funds a reliable dividend. The second sector is utilities, companies that provide electricity, water, and natural gas. Utilities are heavily regulated, which limits their growth, but it also makes their revenue extraordinarily stable. People pay their utility bills in recessions. They pay them during market crashes. Utility dividends are among the most consistent in the entire market. The third sector is healthcare, pharmaceutical companies, medical device manufacturers, healthcare services providers. The demand for healthcare does not follow economic cycles. People need medication and medical care in good times and bad, which gives healthcare companies the same kind of recession-resistant revenue that makes their dividends durable. The fourth sector worth considering early is real estate investment trusts, REITs, which we will cover in full detail in Episode 9. For now, know that REITs are legally required to distribute 90% of their taxable income as dividends, which makes them some of the highest-yielding investments available to a $50 investor. Why these 4 sectors specifically? Because they share a common characteristic that is more valuable to a beginner investor than almost anything else. They are defensive. In a market downturn, when growth stocks and technology companies lose 30, 40, or 50% of their value, defensive sector stocks tend to hold up far better. Their businesses keep running, their cash flows keep coming in, and critically, their dividends keep getting paid. For a new investor who has not yet built the emotional resilience to watch their portfolio drop without panicking, starting in defensive sectors is a form of protection, not just for your money, but for your mindset. And protecting your mindset in the first year is just as important as protecting your capital. So here is the month-by-month blueprint. In months 1 through 3, you have one job. Buy your first stock. Just one. Pick one company from one of the 4 sectors I just described, run the 3-question checklist from episode 3, confirm the payout ratio is healthy, check the dividend growth history, and make the purchase. Set up your DRIP immediately. Then spend the next 2 months learning everything you can about that one company. Read its most recent earnings summary. Understand what it sells, who its customers are, and why its dividend is sustainable. Becoming deeply familiar with one company before adding a second is one of the most underrated habits a new investor can build, and it is a cornerstone of the approach in the $50 Dividend Investor.
Welcome to the table where the green meets the gold.
In months 4 through 6, you are ready to add your second position, and this time you want it to be in a different sector from your first. This is where diversification begins, and at the $50 level, diversification does not mean owning 20 stocks. It means owning 2 or 3 stocks in different industries so that a problem in one sector does not damage your entire portfolio at once. If your first stock is a consumer staples company, your second might be a utility or a healthcare company. If your first is a REIT, your second might be a consumer staples dividend pair. The goal is simply to make sure your income is coming from more than one type of business. 2 well-chosen stocks in different sectors is a more resilient portfolio than 6 stocks in the same industry, and it is entirely achievable on $50 a month. Continue adding your monthly contribution, continue reinvesting your dividends through your DRIP, and continue resisting the urge to check your portfolio balance every single day. That last part matters more than most people realize. In months 7 through 12, something genuinely exciting starts to happen. You begin receiving dividends from 2 positions simultaneously. Your DRIP is reinvesting both payments automatically. Your monthly contributions are adding to your positions, and the compounding snowball we talked about in episode 2 is starting to gather real momentum. This is the phase where most new investors either accelerate or abandon their strategy, and the difference usually comes down to one thing: what they do when the market drops. Because it will drop. At some point in your first year, you will open your investing app and see red. Your account balance will be lower than what you put in. Everything in the financial media will sound alarming, and every instant you have will tell you to sell, to get out, to stop the bleeding. I want you to hear this clearly. Do not sell. A market drop does not change the fundamental quality of a company that passes the 3-question checklist. It does not stop a dividend aristocrat from raising its dividend. It does not interrupt your DRIP. What it does do, if you are still contributing your $50 every month, is allow you to buy more shares at a lower price. A market drop is a sale on the stocks you already believe in. The investor who keeps buying through downturns consistently ends up with a lower average cost per share and a larger position than the investor who paused and waited for the market to recover. Now, let's talk about tracking your portfolio, because knowing what you own and how it is performing is an essential discipline, but it does not require a paid service or a complicated spreadsheet. The simplest and most effective free tool for beginner portfolio tracking is a basic spreadsheet, Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel, where you record 4 things for each position: the number of shares you own, the price you paid per share, the current annual dividend per share, and the current total annual income that position generates. Update it once a month, right after you make your contribution. That monthly update takes about 5 minutes and gives you a clear picture of how your income is growing over time. Watching that annual income number increase, even modestly, is one of the most motivating experiences in dividend investing. The number that matters most is not your account balance, it is your annual dividend income. That is the number that tells you how close you are to financial freedom. By the end of your first year, here's what you will have built: a portfolio of 2 to 3 dividend-paying stocks in different sectors, a DRIP running automatically on every position, a consistent monthly contribution habit that no longer requires willpower to maintain. It's just part of your financial routine.
Your first full year of dividend income reinvested and compounding, and something that cannot be measured in dollars, the knowledge, the confidence, and the proof that you are someone who invests. That proof changes how you make every financial decision going forward. It changes how you see your paycheck, how you think about spending, and how you plan for your future. That first year is not just about the money you accumulate, it's about the investor you become. Everything I have laid out today is built on the portfolio framework in the $50 Dividend Investor by K.R. Talon, available now on Amazon. Link always in the description below. Next week, we're talking about dividend aristocrats in depth, what they are, why their 25-year track record matters, and whether they belong in your beginner portfolio. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Start small, think long, build forever.
Welcome to the table where the green meets the gold.
And that is episode 5 of the $50 Dividend Investor podcast. A portfolio is a grocery list for stocks, a small, carefully chosen collection of businesses working together toward one goal. 4 defensive sectors, a month-by-month blueprint, a simple tracking habit, and the discipline to keep buying when the market turns red. That is your complete first-year framework. And the most important number to watch is not your account balance. It is your annual dividend income. Watch that number grow and let it remind you every single month why you started. If you are ready to go further, the $50 Dividend Investor by K.R. Talon is on Amazon. Link in the description. The full portfolio framework, stock selection criteria, and DIRP setup are all in there, written in the same plain and honest language as this podcast. If this episode helped you, save it and send it to someone who keeps saying they will start investing someday. This is the episode that gives them a clear path forward. Next week, we go deep on dividend aristocrats, 25 years of consecutive dividend increases, and what that track record really means for your portfolio.
Welcome to the table where the green meets the gold.
Build forever.
Meets the gold. I'm K.R. Talon, and we're planting seeds today, not just checking the ticker.